Now who wanna move crossing on? Now who wanna move out on? If you got stripes and you let the city know you rock 'em, yeah, we got 'em, yeah, we fought 'em. Like that black and orange up on 'em, finger ball 'em, never stop it, till the beast on 'em. Who they rockin' with the diamond stripes, flossing on the ring, Cincinnati, she's our queen, we gon' show the world who king. Orange in the day, black in the night, stripes in our veins, sparks gonna fly. The beast is awake, orange, black and white, 'cause when the jungle come alive, who day we ignite.
Welcome to Bengals and Brews. I'm Del Altman, joined by Greg Luther. What's up, buddy?
Dude, just working out in the hot today, man. It's the start.
Oh, did you hit your button? Did you hit your button?
Ah, God. Yeah, I just woke up from a nap, man, when I got home. So, gosh dang it. There we go. How about that now?
There you go. That's good. Good to see you, Tyler, and everybody else that was able to join. Tina, Matt Walker, a lot of people at the event. Good to see him, except that Darth guy that comes on here. I seen him. I was like, oh, what a freaking nerd that guy.
Yeah, I know, right? But anyway, speaking of the event, just such an awesome turnout it was. I mean, just this dude, it just couldn't have gone better. Just such a great time. Thanks for everybody that showed up. We are just more than grateful.
Yeah, and it could be Greg Graves here says, I think we had a quiet, sneaky good draft. I think it's not flashy, right? Like that's what everybody. It's not. It's not flashy, but it's solid, and we'll talk about it. We'll talk about a lot of picks. I hate draft grades, but I'm going to give them anyways for every team.
Well, Dale. Hey, look. Everybody knew here how I felt about Stewart. I hope one day he comes up to me and kicks me in the nuts to prove me wrong. He has every right in the world to kick me in the nuts if he proves.
And it would hurt. He's a big athletic man.
I know,
Greg.
dude. Stewart, man, I'm getting sold on it more, man. I'm getting sold on it more. You know what? Because there were plenty of drafts I saw where the Bengals got A's over the years. Didn't pan out. So you know what? I'm going to shut up and see what happens.
Yeah, you don't win the draft right after the picks are in. You don't win them when they're made. You know, you don't know if you've won or lost the draft till at least 3 years from now. And even then, sometimes there's guys who hasn't got a chance to play or had injuries in that time. A lot of things can happen, but I don't blame people, you know, because this is just kind of how the draft is. You get excited about your favorites. You see the value of this guy, that guy, all these guys that, oh, man, he was there. How did they not take him? And then how did they not take he's there again in this round? You know, and so I understand why people would be upset. And we will talk more specifically about the Bengals pick in depth when we get to it. I want to do some draft grades, even though I say I hate draft grades. So, and that they mean jack shit, I promise you. But
you know what always gets an A? Midwest Best Barbecue and the Chop Shop, proud sponsor of the show. Those always get an A no matter what. If you draft these with your first pick, you cannot go wrong with them at all. Those are always an A-plus draft.
Yeah. And one thing we'll talk about a lot more when we get to the Bengals. It's in order, so you don't have to wait a ton of time before we get to the Bengals. And you're probably not going to like my grade, but you're assigning these grades, and they mean nothing. So full disclosure. But I like to recap the drafts more than what kind of grade I put on it. It's picks I like, picks I thought were little reaches here or there for each team. So it's more about that than it is about any grade. So Arizona, because in alphabetical order, they're first. And obviously I'm going to like their draft. I give it an A. Right off the bat, they got the guy I wanted the Bengals to get one pick later, and that's Walter Nolan. So I love that pick. But I also thought they got good value throughout the draft. And if Will Johnson stays healthy, their pick at pick 47. I mean, that was the guy who had top 10 talent and tape from the season before. He just dealt with a lot of injuries. We don't know how fast he is because he never ran during this cycle. So there's just some unknowns with him, and that's how he falls to like pick 47. But if he's locked in and he's healthy more than anything, I think that's going to be a fantastic pick and a steal. Their third-round pick was Jordan Birch. I really like him as an edge that I said I would have been interested in for the Bengals throughout this process. Big-bodied guy, you know, like 280 pounds, but he moves so well and bends the edge so well for a guy that size. Cody Simon, Ohio State Buckeye. How can I not love that guy? 7 sacks this year and was just a great linebacker. Then they got another Buckeye, Denzel Burke. They're basically Buckeye Central there in Arizona right now. So a corner that could have been a first second-round pick last year, goes back to school, and one of the times it bit a guy in the ass for going back to school. But would he say that? Probably not, because he's got a nice, shiny national championship ring. Right. So team-wise, it didn't bite him, but maybe his draft stock it did. And then Hayden Connor, a guard from Texas, played a lot of football. I like him. They got in the 6th round. And Keaton Crawford, who I don't know a ton about, but a lot of people liked him, safety from Nevada. So, and I'll toss, as I go through each team, a player you guys like even for these guys. So I gave that an A, and I explained why, and that's their picks. But is there anybody you guys like on their draft?
Walter Nolan.
Yeah.
I like Walter Nolan. I mean, I like the Will Johnson too, but like the injury history is very concerning.
For sure. And we don't, is he a 4.6 guy, whatever, but the tape is so good, especially from the year before. And that's, Bo, you're not wrong. A lot of people loved that pick of Burton last year, and so far it hasn't panned out. But that's why you can't judge things, or you can't grade him on 1 year. But I mean, obviously the issues he had coming into the draft that, someone like myself was concerned about with the character, the maturity, we saw it all in year 1. Hopefully he grows up, locks in, and can still be a valuable member of this team.
Well, I don't know. Dustin says Arizona's this year's Commanders. I don't believe that. I mean,
I like their draft.
Caden Daniels last year. That's a little different.
How much do you believe in Kyler Murray would be? Because, I mean, I know you definitely believe more in Jaden Daniels, but could they be better? Because they were better last year. Yeah, they could be better. Marvin Harrison Jr.'s second season as well there, and a very good draft. I expect them to be better.
Like NFC title better?
No. But I agree that they'll be better.
Yeah.
They should be better.
Every team should be better, hopefully, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's always the goal here.
Right.
But, no, I mean, I think they're a sneaky team that can make the playoffs.
Yeah.
That wouldn't shock me. So,
yeah.
Depends on what Xbox game's going on, what Xbox Live game's going on with Kyler Murray.
Right.
Right, if Tyler's locked in or not.
Yes.
Yeah.
Atlanta Falcons up next. I give their draft an A-, and the minus that I taught, once again, draft grades, I will say this the whole time, they're irrelevant, but I'm just assigning it based on the players, and so I can talk about them. Jalen Walker, pick 15, they traded up for James Pierce Jr., so they doubled down an edge, which is something they've severely lacked. Xavier Watts at pick 96 in the 3rd round. We all think that's good value. Billy Bowman, he's listed at safety, but I think he plays slot corner there because they already have Jesse Bates as a safety as well. He goes 4th round, 118. Then they didn't have another pick until the 7th round, and Jack Nelson, a tackle who's played. He might have been a 4-year starter even at Wisconsin. Wisconsin usually has some pretty good linemen that they produce. I know it's new coaching staff than all the guys they used to, but at the same point in time, still Wisconsin. There's something about Wisconsin tackles. So I like Jack Nelson as a 7th round pick there. But that's all they had was 5 picks. So I think they had good picks. I just wish more picks, So only having 5 bumps it down slightly for me. But honestly, this draft, regardless of what grade I assign it right now, with the fact they traded and what they traded, because they traded stuff for next year too, to come back in the 1st for James Pierce Jr., it's make or break on that James Pierce Jr. pick, on how it's looked, how that draft is looked at for them.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, hey, only a couple of picks, but geez, man, those are like, I would have not, say if that was our draft, I would have not complained, even though I was not a big fan of Pierce Jr., but you have Walker, Pierce, and Watts. Dude, I would have been just fine with those 3 right there, buddy.
Yeah, I thought it was a good draft. I was really confused when they took Watts because he plays the same safety position that Jesse Bates does.
Yeah, I didn't understand that either.
That was confusing to me, but I mean, I wanted Watts. You know what I mean? So when he came off the board and went there, I was kind of scratching my head on that one. But
we thought we might take him. We thought we might take him in the 2nd round. So the fact we passed on him not just in the 2nd, we passed on him in the 3rd. And Al Golden coached him. And he had 13 interceptions in the last 2 seasons for Al Golden. I'm going to trust Al Golden on this one, right? Or maybe they said we got to get a guard pick at this point, even if he wanted him in the 3rd after giving him 2 defensive players, because that could happen too. He might have wanted him in the 3rd, and we'll never know. But, that he still passed on him.
I was telling Jerome at Project Game Day's event that Al Golden might have inside information. Maybe there's a reason they passed up on him, because I said either Al Golden is telling them something, and that's the reason they're passing up on him, or he's pissed.
Or they had so many needs, so many other needs that
so many
trying to fill.
Well, we'll get to our draft, but go ahead.
Yeah. No, and Dustin asked why. I mean, I guess the athleticism, right? And he was never known as a good athlete. He didn't test like a good athlete. He's got great instincts, though. I mean, that's how he makes all the plays on the ball. And he's a decent enough tackler, but his missed tackle percentage during the regular season was really bad. So, if they're wanting short tacklers, and it seems like they're wanting guys that are a little bit more short tacklers in here, I think that could be a reason, along with maybe a little bit limited as an athlete on top of it. My guess is that's why he fell to the late third, but that's no inside information, obviously. You
right.
can that.
Dale, you are the insider. Did you already blow yourself on here talking about your fucking?
I've done it enough on Twitter.
What'd you get? 84 out of your top 100?
Yeah, but I'm disappointed because there's two guys I moved out that I knew. Like I knew Tyler Shuck was going to go in the top 100, but I had him inside it just because of it, and then I said I'm putting him where I think he should go. So he's outside of my top 100, and sure enough, he goes in the top 100.
Well, who would he have bumped off, though? Would it have been someone in your – so you're looking at 99 or 100, so did your 99 or 100 get –
No, I know one. I know one of the guys because one of them was a receiver swap of Tay Felton over Savion Williams, and Tay Felton went just outside the top 100, and Savion Williams went in.
Ooh.
So literally that 1-for-1 swap hurt me for sure.
I mean, but the national average – so last year you got 86 out of your top 100, and this year you got 84, so you're averaging 85. I wonder what the national average is of reporters that are doing this for a living. You know what I mean? That are making their money this way.
Well, they do a 5-year average, so and I don't have that because I've only done the Project Game Day, for 2 years. So, but Todd McShay's 5-year average is it's 85.4 or something like that. So I feel like I'm in decent company. He's the top guy.
Do you feel more pressure going into next year with your 100 board?
No.
Isn't there somewhere? So when you put that list up of the different ones, is there somewhere you can go submit your top 100 board before the draft?
Well, that's what me and Parker Blake was talking about. I think I can just email those people next year to start, seeing where I stack up.
Do it.
Yeah.
Little side note, little sidetrack. Sorry to go off on that tangent, but I just
lot to go over. I blew myself enough over the weekend, guys.
But I didn't blow you yet. So there you go.
No, appreciate it. Never going to turn one down,
Right.
The Baltimore Ravens up next. They had 11 picks. So they always have a lot of picks. They always have a bunch of comp picks. I get their draft an A, and there's a lot of picks that I was like, I could maybe knock this down, but the first two on talent-wise are so good. Malachi Starks, top 15 on my board. Mike Green, top 10 on my board. That's their first two picks. Now, we know why Mike Green didn't go. The character, the off-field, teams passed on him. So, but just talent-wise, just from watching his tape and how I felt about him as a talent, they got two of the top 15 players, and they got him at 27 and 59. So that's why I'm like, that alone makes their draft fantastic. But then they also had an Emory Jones, who I did not like as a tackle, but I think if they kick him into guard, he's going to be better. And that's an LSU boy chop that they got there.
Yeah, so, I know. I liked him. He's a right tackle.
He's dead to you now.
Yeah, right now, fuck that guy. Fuck him and fuck Mike Green and fuck Malachi Starks.
Yeah. And then Teddy Buchanan, linebacker, Carson Vincent, O-tackle. I'm not going to talk about every pick, but I'll just mention it. Bilal Cone or Kone, we still don't know exactly how that's pronounced. Cornerback, Western Michigan. They got a kicker from Arizona, Tyler Loop. LeJonte Wester, the wide receiver from Colorado. I'll skip this next pick because there's two more. Robert Longerbeam, cornerback from Rutgers, and then Garrett Dellinger, another LSU offensive lineman. They got in the 7th round. So they got a couple LSU offensive linemen. But the one I skipped and I'll go back to now, round 6, pick 210, Aeneas Peebles, my personal favorite. And one I did not get correct in my top 100. And I knew there was a good chance he wouldn't go in the top 100. But guess what I couldn't do? I couldn't take him out of my top 100 because I love him. So I stood on business on that one. And he goes to pick 210 because he's undersized, right? He's undersized. And he's not the best athlete, even though he's undersized for the testing stuff either. So
hopefully, right?
I hope he sucks now.
Hopefully, you were wrong as fuck on that guy.
I want to be wrong really bad.
Yes,
these Peoples.
But Starks and Green were like I think talent wise, Green was number 1, Starks number 2 on my board. So I ain't gonna lie to you, I'm a little jealous of the Ravens right now. But hey. I hope that draft tanks for them. But
to be fair, every year they crush it in the draft, and every year they blow it in the playoffs.
Yep, there you go.
Yep.
So
Good. They can blow it in the playoffs again this year. Fuck
When
it.
you have like that, when you have multiple picks,
I promise it's the lighting, okay? I'll be out there cutting grass every 4 or 5 days in this sun. I'm much darker in person. Chop,
Right.
you see me. I do not look this fluorescent in person, did I?
No, you were very much darker.
But it does look bad on here. I concur. I bought a ring light that literally is a Derek branded ring light. It makes it look like Derek with the ring light on.
Yeah.
But yeah, any picks there? Obviously, Greg, you were talking about the ones, and how you felt about those. Is there anybody else for you, Chop?
No, I mean, fuck them guys because they had a good draft.
Simple enough.
They had a good draft, man.
Yeah.
Fuck. What can I say? I like their draft.
I agree with this. Here's one reason that I could bump it down, and I did mention that on there. I said, still need cornerbacks is my only concern. So honestly, I could bump that down to an A- for that reason, because I still don't believe they're cornerbacks and they're getting older. And that was a huge struggle last year. So I don't know how, taking a guy in the 6th round was the first cornerback you took, and how you think that fixed things. So I agree with that criticism as well, Dustin. Now, the team that did take, next up, Buffalo Bills took a cornerback. I give this an A. So
another
so far,
good draft right here.
Right? Everyone's getting A's on this page. I promise they're not all A's, but I do hate draft grades, but they're not all A's throughout here. But Maxwell Hairston, corner from Kentucky, 1st round. TJ Sanders, 2nd round. D tackle from South Carolina. Landon Jackson, 3rd round. Edge out of Arkansas. Deion Walker, 4th round. D lineman out of Kentucky. Jordan Hancock, corner, Ohio State. Jackson Hall's tight end, Georgia Tech. Dorian Strong, corner, Virginia Tech. Chase Lunt, offensive tackle, UConn. Caden Prather, wide receiver. I can't complain about one of their picks.
No,
I think they got good value and you guys know I wasn't huge on Deion Walker. I still kept him as 4th round guy just because there's not 6'7", 340-pound guys and he registered 7.5 sacks the season before. So if he was playing with a broken back, but that broken back also scares me. We've talked about that a lot. But when you're swinging on, and it's not like he's the only D tackle they took, and they invested in the free agency. They also took Bull Rush McIntyre, TJ Sanders from South Carolina in the 2nd round. So it's just you're not even going to ask him to do a ton. If he needs a year to recover, they could give him that with all the D tackles and D linemen they have. And Landon Jackson, that's a guy goes 3rd round. We talked about 2nd round. We could have lived with him going to us in the 2nd.
He's going to be cold up there in Buffalo with no hair. It gets chilly, right?
That's what hats are for, Chop.
He's going to need one insulated.
But I like Hairston, Hancock, Dorian Strong. I think they got 3 good corners and they need a corner. So they did the opposite of how I felt like the Ravens. The Ravens would have, in hindsight, if they could have got 2 of those 3 corners, I'd feel better about a little more.
Man, also Buffalo's turning into the landing spot for Kentucky.
Sure
right?
is.
I mean, last year they got Ray Davis, right? We all liked Ray Davis. They got him, and then this year they go out and get Will Johnson right off the get. Or no, they got Maxwell Hairston. That's right. Will Johnson's not from there anymore.
If I had to guess, our buddy Cincy James is a big UK Wildcats fan. He's
about to be a Buffalo fan because that's where all his players are going.
Deion Walker.
Deion Walker too.
Deion Walker, I wanted him so badly in the 4th round, and Bills took him right up. I would have loved to have had Walker in the 4th round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so good drafts. And now I'm flipping to the next page. Each of these has about 4 teams on it. Another A. Oh my God. Why am I giving everyone A's?
I don't know.
But here's the draft, and you tell me what you think. So the Carolina Panthers, Tet McMillan, wide receiver, Nick Scourton, edge, Princely Umamielen, edge, Trevor Etienne, running back, Lathan Ransom, safety, Cam Jackson, the D lineman from Florida, Mitchell Evans, the tight end from Notre Dame, and then Jimmy Horn Jr. from Colorado. I love that draft. That's one of my favorite drafts, period, because Tet was my wide receiver 1. We all thought they'd go edge. Well, if they weren't going edge, wide receiver still made a ton of sense because you got to give weapons for a young quarterback in Bryce Young. You may have a true number 1 receiver, which they need, even though they took the kid last year from South Carolina that I liked, blanking on his name. Fantastic. Xavier Legette.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That guy is a beast.
I did like Xavier Legette, but he got.
But I don't think he's a true number 1. He's a 2 or 3.
Yeah, I agree.
They got potential for a true number 1 here with Tet. And then since they didn't take edge in the first to get Nick Scourton and Princely Umamielen with their next 2 picks, you talk about needs. with fit, with talent, I have to give that an A. Like, that's just, you knocked it out of the park with your first 3 picks. ETN, I didn't love, but it's 4th round running back with some speed. Latham Ransom, I really liked as a safety. Cam Jackson, I really liked as a nose tackle run stuffer. And then Mitchell Evans, the tight end that I think would have been much higher was he not injured and working his way off the ACL injury from the season before. But he looked great in the playoffs when he was over a year off of that injury. So I love that draft. I think it's fantastic. What stands out for you guys on that?
Yeah. I mean, they like you said, Dale, they aced it. They didn't go edge in the first round, but boy, man, you got who I liked. Well, the other Texas A&M match who I liked better than Stewart at the time and all that. Actually did show up his numbers. I liked him. Princely, who you were very high on. I mean, good Lord, man, you talk about loading up on edge. They did a great job with that. With the wide receiver, who was your number 1, he was there. Hell yeah. But ETN, I thought he was a little like from hearing what you say, I think they could have gone better options and all that. I thought he was a little overrated. I think his name helped him out too with his brother and all that, and him being at Georgia. But no, other than that, man, they did a hell of a job.
Yeah, it's up there for my favorite draft. It's right in that conversation. Thank you for the super chat. Dustin says, my steal of the draft, Craig Woodson, safety, New England. He's a good player. I know you talked about him when you were on here. I think he went 4th round and from Cal, and I think he plays early and often for them. So yeah, good pick. One more, and then we're on the Bengals, and we'll spend a lot more time talking about them. Obviously, being a Bengals podcast, then we'll see how much time's left when we're done talking Bengals. I may,
or the rest of the team,
I can even get to. But the Bears are next since we're on alphabetical order, and the first non-A goes to the Chicago Bears. They get a B-. So we went from all these A's. There was an A- in there to a B-. They got Colston Loveland. They got Luther Bird in the 3rd, Ozzie Trapillo in the 2nd round as well, and then they also had another 2nd round pick, Shamar Turner. So that's part of my complaint a bit. It's 3 second-round picks, and I'm not like, it doesn't overwhelm me. When you got 3 second-round picks, I expect, you crushed it. You know what I mean? So the fact that I'm not that as high on Shamar Turner, Ozzie Trapillo I thought was around early. Now, I'm not saying these guys are bad players. I'm just saying I thought that was a little bit too early for both of those guys that you took in the 2nd. There was a lot of good players on the board, in my opinion. I think the Luther Burden pick and the Colston Loveland pick, the 2 weapons – for Caleb Williams, I like those picks. So typically, and that's the thing, like for anybody that would be a Bears fan, your first 2 picks are the most important. And that's for any franchise, right?
Exactly.
They're going to get the most opportunity to play. And if they hit, you hit anyway. So, but I'm nitpicking this stuff when I'm talking about all these. And then 4th round pick, Ruben Hippolyte. Yeah, he's a 5-star recruit, but you guys were on here with me. I didn't know who that was when they picked him. I'm just going to be honest. Wasn't sure. It's like, yeah, I've heard the name, but I did not watch his tape.
Right.
Zaw Frazier, 5th round. I like him. Long corner out of UTSA, but probably needs some time to develop, play in smaller school competition. Luke Newman, offensive tackle, probably kicks into guard in the NFL from Michigan State. And then Kyle Monungai was one of my favorite running backs for like a day 3, 6th, 7th round guy. So they got him from Rutgers. But we thought they would go running back earlier. So that was kind of interesting they waited that long. I think it's a solid draft. It's just, it's going to be very similar to ours that I'm about to talk to next. Greg, you're muted, sir. You are still muted.
You probably just let him go at this point, right? I mean, you've told him twice that he's muted.
I had to mute myself because of the chair and all that and stuff. But no, they loaded up on talent, on weapons, at least for Caleb Williams, giving him some help. So I'll give them that. But like you said, man, with 3 second-round picks, you figured that should be a slam dunk right there. And like you said, it's not as enticing as it should be.
Yeah, I mean, and that's not saying it won't turn out and be great. And I think all those players, have a role there, and they picked up spots they needed to pick up. It's just maybe not the players I personally would have taken. So it's just a slight ding,
I do like Colston Loveland, though. I think that he's going to be fucking great tight end. I mean, that's a good pick for them if they're trying to give Caleb Williams some target.
I agree. Yeah, and Luther Burden, too. I mean, I know he didn't have huge production this year, but, they can move him around, and he's electric, and he can make plays. And they took 2
receivers last year, right? Didn't they?
I know they took Roma Dunze in the first,
right?
And they brought in Keenan Allen, who I think is still there. And then they may have one more guy on the roster. Their Moore or whatever.
Yeah,
is DJ
Moore
still there? Yeah, DJ Moore is still there, I believe. So they already have a few guys.
I thought for some reason they drafted 2 last year.
There could be another guy they drafted that I'm not thinking in like who he would be above anybody else. That
Either way, Colson Loveland's going to give him another big fucking target.
I agree. Yep. And then the Bengals, I gave it a C. You know, could bump that to a C plus. You know, it's
right.
And I don't dislike it. You can read my post on Twitter. Like that's why I wanted to make that post before I come on here. I don't dislike it. It's fine. It's solid, and it could be great. Like every player makes sense. It's just my personal board and stuff, and I'll go through where I had these guys. So at pick 17, we took Shamar Stewart at 18. That's about where I thought he should go, but some people are even higher on him. It's just the production, right? But if he reaches his ceiling, you got an absolute steal at pick 17. You know, if he even produces 5 or 6 sacks next year and you see just starts reaching a little bit of what he can be, we will be so ecstatic about that pick. So,
if he reaches what they project his ceiling could be, he could have went number 1 overall, to be honest.
Yeah, if he would have had 8 or 9 sacks this year, he would have been – you could have made an argument down to him and Abdul Carter, right?
I mean, the NFL comparison is Myles Garrett. The difference is Myles Garrett gets people on the ground.
Yep.
Shamar Stewart runs after him like a maniac, you know, creates a lot of pressure, just hasn't been able to finish. A lot of people blame that on Texas A&M scheme or whatever, you know. Maybe it's just coaching. They need to reel that last piece in there. But if they can get that guy on track, get his hands on people and bring them down, that's a great fucking pick.
Well, and he's got to work on his pass rush, you know, arsenal. He's got to add more
hand placement and stuff like that.
He's got to add more tools to the bag. You know what I mean? More tools to the toolbox.
He's like for 3 years, he's still very raw.
Yeah, he's still more. I use my athleticism and size and power to try to win more often than, you know, mixing more in. You know, I'm not saying he never does it, but you know, he certainly doesn't have that. He's not polished when it comes to that part of his game. So but that means there's a lot to work with still for him.
Well, another thing is also we don't have that pass rushing interior lineman, but that's where you could kick him inside at times. You could kick Osai in, you could kick Murphy in at times. But, you know, like I said, you could use them all around. But I know, Dale, at Texas A&M, I've heard multiple reports that he was doing what he was told. He wasn't really told to be a pass rusher. Is that true that I've heard at Texas A&M?
I don't know. See, because I see plenty of opportunities on tape where he's rushing the passer. He's just not finishing.
I mean,
or, you know, but he's creating some pressure. He's creating some disruption by doing it. I mean, all the stats back that up. 21.9% true pass rush on true pass sets, the win rate. So.
Hey, I do believe him. And look, let me show you real quick since we're sponsored by my store. But I made this shirt with his logo on it after we drafted him. So I believe in the man. He's going to be great. And he'll be greater. Probably each shirt I sell, he'll get one more pass rush move in his arsenal. Pretty sure that's how it works.
And I just bought one, too.
Yeah, you did. Yes, he did.
And it actually worked. I bought some for the Chop Shop, and it worked.
Yeah.
Pretty badass. Hopefully he's cool with you making that.
Well, if he isn't, I'll cease and I'll desist.
Exactly.
Yeah, because that's his logo. Yeah. It's a gorilla. You know, that's why it's a gorilla. And
if he just come on the show, we could ask him.
Yeah, we could ask him.
We could say, hey, do you like this? And we'll send you a couple.
I'll probably get the cease and desist after he gets the one that I'm sending him to the
There you go. He's going to know, right?
I mean, I don't try to hide the shit, man.
Exactly. That part of it. Because you're going to send it to him, and if he wants you to not, he'll say, hey,
if he wants me to not do it, I'll just not do it anymore. I'll fucking order me one real quick and then shut it down.
Me and Chop will be the only ones that actually have it.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, and him.
And him.
And he might send me a cease and desist, but I'll bet you see that bitch wearing that motherfucker during workouts sometimes.
It's a free shirt.
Because I saw him wearing his logo.
I love that. I love it.
It is cool.
I might have to get mine real quick, too.
Right.
It is cool. No, Chuck. I was like, where did Chuck come up with that cool logo? Then I saw Stewart's Twitter page. I'm like, oh, that was badass, Chuck. That was maybe one of your best designs.
Yep. Yeah. Hurry and get it, because I have a feeling that's my first cease and desist, because that's like his personal trademark that his dad created.
Well, Chop, I asked you if would
that's the only reason I said anything at all, Chop, was because I can see this one, so you better.
Yeah. I believe me, I'm the same way.
Could I tag Stewart in this? She's like, sure, I don't care. As soon as he just.
I mean, he's been tagged on that shirt, so
not hiding it.
Nope. I'm not trying to hide it. Look, the stuff I got in there, I get cease and desist.
Well, it's just cool, right? You
I'll
can't
cease
get.
and desist.
Well, it's hard to even get some of the cool stuff that you create. Fanatics is owns everything when it comes to
Yeah.
shirts anymore, and
I've
their
had
shirts.
offers from Fanatics, but I'm fucking staying out, man. I'm not a sellout.
Not a sellout.
It's not true at all. Go ahead.
I know, but it sounded good. The second pick, Demetrius Knight Jr., linebacker, South Carolina. Yes, he's older. Yes, he'll be turning 25.
Yes, he's
in like
got an
6 months.
AARP card.
But he was 75th on my board. So yes, is that a little earlier? But when I put stuff in columns, anybody that gets the draft guide knows I usually put first/second because if when I'm stacking these guys, I'm like they're and depending where the run starts on a position, because he was the highest linebacker. So guess what column he was in? I had 2 linebackers in second/third. It was Carson Swessinger, who went to the Browns, and it was Demetrius Knight Jr., who went to the Bengals. So knowing he's in that column, you know why? Where's he go? The second. So it's not a huge shock at all to me. It's just a little touch higher than where he was at on my board, but he's still in that same range because there's a range, that you try to think about.
Well, going into day 2, you said, who's the player you want? And I'm like, Carson Swishinger. Man, that's the guy I want. And then he went off number 2 on the second day.
First pick. They had the first pick that day.
Oh, was it? To the dumbass Cleveland Browns. Fuck them guys. But it sounds like when we got Demetrius Knight, now they could be lying. Maybe they're lying and pumping up Demetrius Knight, but Zach Taylor and especially Al Golden, they were asking Al Golden about reach, and he was like, a reach. He was like, literally, I waited 17 picks to pick this guy. This is the guy we wanted. We waited 17 picks for him to fall to us so that we could draft him. So made me feel better. And man, Demetrius Knight is a badass.
Yes.
He is good. The knock on him is that he's a fucking grandfather already.
Well, no. One cool thing about Demetrius Knight is he used to do DoorDash and all that and stuff. So Demetrius Knight, if we ever get you on the show, we can always use a DoorDash also.
That's right. He could DoorDash us something while we're live.
Yeah, but no. The more you learn about him, he's a team leader. I think this guy could come in and plug and play immediately, and that's what they want. They're like, look, we're like Al Gold even said, I heard the conference, I don't give a damn about his age. He's like, he's going to come in and play. He can run both sides of the field. We need to be, and I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to shift away from more of the athleticness, be more bigger, be better tacklers and all that. And that's Demetrius Knight, everything you just read about him.
I'll tell you one thing is that you can really, I feel like I can really tell the movement on our defense with Al Golden with this draft.
And he played in the
faster.
Sorry, I didn't know if you.
It's a lot faster. You got guys in there that he talks. You don't have to put in sub packages. You can run the same personnel out there, and you don't give away your scheme.
Right.
So the draft to me, after it was over and concluded, I know we didn't talk about all the picks, but it just seemed like Al Golden did have control, and he did get his guys that he wanted for the defense. These guys that we talked about already, these first 2, are versatile pieces that can move and fly all over the field and are very, very athletically gifted.
Hey, and Stranger's happy because he wanted Knight and Brooks, and he talked about it, so we love it, brother. And the Dark Knight Rises, right?
Yep.
Yes.
It's go time. It's a T-shirt.
Believe me, I got
I
ideas.
also will not like if you probably put Dark Knight Rises on a shirt.
I was thinking more along the lines of some kind of Knight Rider shit with that light but orange, but not on the car. I'm thinking about it.
The ideas are percolating.
Yeah.
Percolating.
I'm working on it.
And his grades is what I was going to mention. So coverage grade 74.9. That's really good. Pass rush 78.5. Tackling 79. So he's a sure tackler. Run defense 85.4. He's where he needs to be in the right spots and makes plays as a run defender. And overall 82.8. He was up there his season, and that's at South Carolina. You can say, well, he was at Charlotte last year, lower competition. It wasn't lower competition this year. And yes, he had 4 years before that where he mainly played special teams at Georgia Tech. But that's a point I think Al Golden also mentioned, and some of the other coaches. He's really only been a 2-year starter. Yes, he's 24. You can look at experience as a good thing, but you can also look at it as, has he reached his ceiling with only having 2 years of snaps at the line? He was a quarterback when he went to Georgia Tech. A quarterback.
Right.
He was an offensive quarterback.
Right.
That had transitioned to linebacker.
So he hardly didn't play at all his freshman year.
Imagine why it might have took him some time to transition to getting linebacker down, because he was recruited there to play quarterback. So, he's still young in his football journey as a linebacker. So even though his age is 24 and will be 25 at some point in the season, he's not reached his ceiling. He's not reached his ceiling. He's not reached his peak. He's not reached what they think he can be. And what he already was at South Carolina this year shows an ascending player, right?
Right.
So all of those things wrapped up, it's a very good pick.
And that's exactly what Al Golden said about he's ascending. His birthday's in July if anybody wants to buy him a gift, preferably from the Chop Shop.
Well, I'll DoorDash him.
I'll have something that you can pick out of there that he can cease and desist me on.
He called himself the Dark Knight, Chop.
Ah.
So the Batman thing is real.
That would be cool.
Oh,
man, now I'm getting sued by Disney, too.
Put him next to Val Kilmer.
No, DC.
DC. All right. Nintendo got me one time already.
Oh.
I know.
Well, we'll have that. But the next pick.
Shut her down. I shut her down.
They said cease and desist. I cease and desist.
Right. I did. Matt probably
Dylan
got the search report was shut down, though.
So first two picks on the defensive side, and Al Golden guys that he wants, and we brought him here to develop, and, he's got certainly some development to do with guys on the roster in this. I see the vision, and I see that I don't think either of those are reaches. I said, maybe a touch early, but overall it's not a reach. He was in that second, third round column for Demetrius Knight.
No, like we said post-draft show, we might have thought it was a reach at the time, but the Bengals did not think it was a reach. That's they wanted him over.
It was still the best linebacker. Yeah.
No, I was Dale. I went through your draft guide, man. I was a big fan. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a good
pick.
That
a sentence?
It was partial.
I was trying to follow it. It just kind of trailed
off. Mostly a
sentence.
I thought there was more to it.
I was like.
Love you, Greg.
No. I got mixed up with another player and all that in the draft. Sorry, guys. I woke up from a nap. I had a long day out.
All right, I got you.
So it wasn't just you, Chop. He lost train of thought.
Okay.
I lost train of thought a little bit.
He pulled a pork chop, if you ask me.
Next. I still like Knight, but Carter was the one who was for you guys. I was out in the hot sun all day. So
you pulled a pork chop, Greg, because I'll be talking about shit, and I get the end, and I'm like, the fuck was I talking about?
Yeah, exactly. I did not. Yeah. I got high on the sun.
There you go.
Dylan Fairchild, round 3, pick 81. A lot of people thought it'd be the other Georgia player. Well, that other Georgia player is already 24 years old. Dylan Fairchild doesn't even turn 22 years old. He's still 21. Doesn't turn 22 until May 8th. So a lot younger than Tate Ratledge. And if you look like his PFF grades, 80, like mid to high 80s as a pass protector. And what do we do?
I think it's like 89.
It's very high.
Yeah. Everybody talked about Ratledge, but when I look at Fairchild, I think he's almost just good. Why is Fairchild not getting the love that Ratledge gets?
I got to tell you, there is a guy in the show that liked Dylan Fairchild better than Tate Ratledge. Who is that guy?
Who is that guy?
I think his name is Pork Chop.
Yeah, his name is Pork Chop. I love Dylan Fairchild. Like, the big thing about Tate Ratledge was that he played next to Mims. He's right tackle. I mean, he's a right guard.
And has a mullet, honestly.
And he has a mullet.
That got him a half round more love than it probably should have.
Yeah. So, and then you go over to the other side, and, like, literally, when I'm looking at your draft guide, Dale, I'm like, why the fuck is Dylan Fairchild under Tate Ratledge?
Right.
I understand.
Because he looked like a better player to me. And I would still ask you, Dale, what was it about Tate Ratledge that was better? I think I even asked you this on the show before.
I think, in my mind, I thought Tate Ratledge was more 100% ready to go in all facets of the game, not just as a pass protector, but as a run blocker. So I had him higher for that reason. But Fairchild, I still had in that third, fourth round column.
Yeah.
So he was 1/10 on my board. We took him at 81, but he was still that third, fourth round column.
I mean, Ratledge
Plus,
did
honestly, Chop, I didn't know their ages till after the draft.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I don't like some guys. I'll look up their age if I hear, they're this much older or that much younger. And a lot of them I do, through the process, just see it. I didn't realize Dylan Fairchild was only 21 years old till after the draft.
Yeah.
So That's on me.
Absolutely.
You know?
Dylan
Who has a
Fairchild.
better ceiling, Dale? Who has a better ceiling, in your opinion, Ratledge or Fairchild?
I mean, I think just because he's, over 2 years younger, and he's played a lot less football than Ratledge, which is good and bad, but he also don't have the injury history that Tate Ratledge had, which is another ding on. And I don't want to sit here and crap on Ratledge because I still think that was a good pick and a good player.
Shame on Ratledge. I'm just pointing out the fact that
I think it's all fair.
Fairchild.
And I think it's all fair, and I think there's a lot to like. And I think especially he's going to have the opportunity to come in here, and I really, 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 really hope he wins that left guard job. Because that's what he's competing for.
He's got it. I mean,
because I want him to play.
Line just got solid.
Well, we've got a bunch of what's the upside if a Cody Ford starts over him or a Lucas Patrick? What is the upside for the long term of this team at guard? I would rather this guy go in there and have a rough few games because we've dealt with rough. But this guy has so much potential and so much talent, and he's already a good pass protector.
Well, let me ask you this, though, because I was reading somebody else's grades. I can't remember who it was, but they were talking about how he can play center and left guard. So has he played center at all?
Gosh, I would have to look that up, Chop.
I would imagine.
Off the top of my head, I don't remember him playing
right guard. They just said left guard and center. So that he had versatility from left guard and center. So he must have played a little center at some point. So, I mean, that's not why I like him. But everybody was like, Tate Ratledge, Tate Ratledge, Tate Ratledge. And in my head, I'm like, Tate Ratledge is only a right guard. And also Dylan Fairchild. I'm thinking he's a left guard. But I just thought when I saw your grades, and I know that Joe Burrow's dropping back to pass. And his grade is almost a 90 on pass protection coming out of college. And his run blocking grade was like in the high 60s, wasn't it? So, I mean, I really did like
his pass block was an 87, Chop, and it's saying on here his run blocking was actually 71.8.
71. That's what I'm saying.
Maybe I had it low. See, PFF sometimes they go back and they regrade stuff, and they do it even after the season's over. So. If mine's lower in the draft guide, and I don't have that in front of me, but if it's lower and it is in the 60s, it's 71.8 on here now. So if they've gone back and regraded it, he was even better in that aspect than what I had.
Tell you what, they could give him Tate Ratledge's number, and he could be number 69.
Yeah.
There you go.
And
he's only given 1 sack in 2 years because last year he didn't start the season. He wasn't the starter coming into the season. But then, Mims got injured early on. They moved, I think, Xavier Trust over to the right tackle who was starting at left guard. And then Fairchild took that left guard over, and they just kept him there. He never relinquished that job.
Why would you let him go? The dude's a fucking badass. Thank God they did, and we could get him. And not only that, man, but his phone call with the media was so exciting. They were like, because this guy's a wrestler, he's like a champion, a high school championship wrestler.
Oh, yeah, like elite.
Yeah. And he was talking about when Scott Peters came down and worked him out, he was talking about he put his hands on me. And he was like, instantly, he was like basically saying game knows game. He was like, I'm a wrestler. And he was like, I knew when he put his hands on me, I could feel this guy's his ninjutsu background. He was like, you just know. And then the local media was like, you want to lock it up with him? He was like, yeah, lightweight, I do. Bad. So this guy comes in, he already wants to fucking wrestle or fight the O-line coach. It's awesome. They should do it for charity. Have them two fucking square up, wrestle. Not sure the contracts will allow that, but
no snaps at center in college. In a year. So he was at Georgia for 4 years. He didn't really play the first two. He had cleanup snaps. He had 18 snaps as a sophomore, 6 snaps as a freshman. You know what I mean? He didn't play. But then like I said, once he got in, he did play 114 snaps at right guard. 2023, and then he played 435 at left guard, because he started over half the year, because you also got to toss in 130 some at right guard. So, a lot of snaps. And then this year, 5 snaps at right guard for whatever reason. They gave him 5 snaps over there, but 871 at left guard. So and I think that's why the Bengals are majority of what he's done has been at left guard, and they're going to let him stay at left guard, not worried about moving over and learning. Yeah. You're competing here and giving you every opportunity to earn that job. And I hope he wins it, because that could be a long-term solution here at left guard. And that would be nice to get one of those guard spots.
I mean, he's got to really come in and suck, right? To win that left guard spot.
Yeah, please. God, I hope he does.
Suck?
Huh? I
You
said,
hope he
God, I
sucks?
hope he does. Yeah.
I said he's got to really suck, and you said, God, I hope he does.
No.
Oh,
That's what
okay.
he said.
I hope that we don't even fucking, like 3 years from now, you don't even know. Like, you got to be reminded that Dylan Fairchild's on our offensive line because you don't hear anything about it.
Exactly.
That's the best thing. The offensive lineman, the best thing, the good news is no news.
Yes.
Exactly. And we'll move on from that. So we're only through 3 of those picks. We're not getting very much of any other teams. We're
No.
going to be finishing out talking about the Bengals. The rest of the
Yeah,
show.
right.
It's just what it is. I got some in, right?
Right.
That's
Right.
right.
It's
So,
all
hey,
good.
it's not our fault that their city starts with something after the letter C.
Exactly. And Cleveland's next, and I really like their draft, so maybe I don't
So
want
do
to
I.
get to
Fuck
that
them
one.
guys.
Maybe I
No.
don't want to get to that one. But the next pick, they doubled up at linebacker. Didn't necessarily see it coming, but it makes sense, you know. And Dustin Croft was on here on the show, the live stream we were doing, and he said, you know, I mean, basically Logan Wilson's not getting any younger. And if he's lost a little athlete, and he's coming off an injury. So you start getting injured, you start getting older, maybe you lose a step, you know, maybe you're not as good a tackler, you're not in the right spots, you're not getting the splash play interceptions and stuff you've got in the past. Get a younger guy in there.
Maybe you got a lot of plays where there's only 3 down linemen.
If you got 3 linebackers, then he's in there, you know.
Yeah.
But special teams, he's in there. And captain, team leader.
Yeah.
And that's the theme of all these guys.
And are they
High
letting him
character.
keep his number 0?
Yeah, no,
you
he had
think?
like a 4.0 GPA, I think, also.
Let me tell you, this is the pick right here. This one right here, this pick, when they picked him, is what told me that Al Golden has control of this draft as far as the guys he's picking. It was Barrett Carter, this pick.
Dale, when I looked through your draft guide, I just remember this was one. I don't think I've said it publicly, but I looked through linebackers. And I'm like, Barrett Carter, and he really caught my attention because of the sacks he had as a linebacker. You could use him in certain situations. Dale, this was, as I told you on Twitter, this was my favorite pick of the draft because he really caught my attention. Like, this was my favorite pick of the draft was Barrett Carter.
Tons of experience, too. Like, he's played a ton of football at Clemson, and Clemson was playing, you know, I think he was there when they were playing for national championships.
Oh,
you know,
my
he
God.
was
I
playing-
loved his phone call with Zach Taylor, too. When he tells Zach Taylor, he's like, you got a good one, coach.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that part of the phone call.
Yeah. He
But,
was my favorite pick.
I agree, Noddy. It's never going to happen, but, man,
Nope.
imagine what kind of badass he'd be if he was allowed
Man,
to
if
score
the
this year.
Bengals aren't going to let Shamar Stewart wear his college number, they
Yeah,
ain't fucking letting
exactly.
nobody wear 0. I mean, he
Yeah.
went and asked, and they're like, nah, nobody. That doesn't happen here. Like, not at the Bengals. You're going to be in the number 90s. Go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. And I mentioned he was at 113 on my board, and we got him at 119. So, you know, this is a guy who, honestly, right there, pretty much spot on, you know, where I had him stacked up. So the value lines up, and his coverage grade wasn't real great, but like other people said, you know, he was having tougher matchups that he was having to cover. Because there's the other years, the PFF coverage grades was a lot better than previous 2 years. So I think he still gives you a lot there. And the athleticism, he tested good, but it wasn't as good as he looks on tape. So he plays faster than his official RAS testing. So I think that's also a good thing. And just he's going to come in and put in the work. I feel really good about that pick too.
Very much.
And then we go to the 5th round, Jalen Rivers.
Another good one.
I think he's going to be the swing tackle. And he said, well, they told me guard. But then they're talking, and then when they talked, they said it's going to be swing tackle. I think he should do all of it because this guy literally during games would switch in between playing left tackle and left guard during the game, series to series.
So I think that he probably competes for that right guard position, but they're also going to use him like they use Cody Ford, right?
Yeah. Well, no, I'm a little confused now because like he never played right guard. He just played left guard. This is where my question comes in.
No, he's played. No, he hasn't. I don't think he's played right guard. He's played right tackle, and left guard.
Oh, okay. My question to you is this: do you still think they'll find a right guard in free agency? Do you still think they'll look into that?
Because I think the competition is more Ford and Lucas Patrick for the right guard spot. I thought that competition was going to be for the left guard spot, and they would be looking more for right guard, which is another reason that I didn't talk about Dylan Fairchild as often as I did Tate Ratledge. You know, because that was just how I thought it would go.
Now's the time to see what Scherf wants to come off the couch and do one more year. right? And bring them in here for competition. I mean, put them on a 1-year deal. You got you got some rookies. Bring them in on a 1-year deal. They're going to save the money when they cut Pratt because maybe they got Pratt going into the season, but I just don't see it.
No, Pratt, there's just no way I see this happen. Dale, wouldn't he be a June 1st cut now with Pratt?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't save you anything. I think when you cut him or whether they would have traded him or when they cut, it all is the same amount of money. So I don't think it makes any difference for that. But good size, everything. I talked about Jalen Rivers quite a bit on the show. I was very happy about that pick. He was 138 on my board, and he went at 153. So, and he was stacked in 4 or 5, and he wasn't at the bottom of the 4 or 5 column. He was at the top of the 4 or 5 column for O tackles.
Yeah.
So it's a guy that and when I did the Our Lads mock draft challenge, I was looking back at that today. I mocked him to go, not to the Bengals, but to another team in the 4th round. So I didn't even think he'd be available in the 5th round. Like, I thought he was a 4th round kind of guy. That's where I thought he'd go. That's the type of talent I thought he had. Yeah. And you get him in the 5th round, and he can be your swing tackle. He can be your extra lineman. He can and I'm trying to look that up right now. So I'm going to look real quick while I'm thinking about it. He's logged 0 snaps at right guard in his career, and he spent all 5 years at Miami. He played a little right tackle, but not much. He's honestly been more a left tackle, left guard for the majority of his career at Miami. And he started in 2022 at left guard the whole season. Then he started the whole next season at left tackle. Then this season, they said his snaps are almost evenly split. He bounced back and forth between left tackle and left guard, even during the same games. So the versatility, but he can play right tackle, and I think he can play right guard. Like, if you're smart enough that during the game you're just bouncing back and forth,
I know
spots,
that's
not because of injury, just because in this package we want you here, and we want to bring this guy. Like,
yeah, that's wild. And Mon in the chat says that Paul Danner said that he speculated that Pratt's going to be cut soon.
Yeah, and why wouldn't they, right? Like, it's just a headache that you don't need as you're getting, So
Matt Walker says he's asking about Kirkland. Can he play right guard?
I think so, yeah. I mean, and he was a guy who played a lot of tackle in college, so he's moved here and, he's played some left tackle. They were giving those guys a bunch of spots last year. A bunch of opportunities at different spots during preseason, which I like to see. Get them in there and play them in a bunch of different spots. So I think Rivers is going to have that opportunity, and maybe he is in the mix to start at right guard. But even if he's not, I cannot tell you how valuable it is to have a good swing tackle. We don't have Trent Brown anymore.
No.
Marius Mims, I love him. That was a good pick. But the biggest knock has been and will continue to be, can he play a full season?
Yep.
Until he does, it's going to be a question, right? Until I see him play a full season. So to have a guy that I feel like could start, and I got that in the fifth round, I think that's fantastic draft.
That's
pick.
awesome.
Like I love that draft pick.
Absolutely.
I think the whole draft,
I knew least about him, Dale. So I mean, the more you talked about, that was a steal right there in the 5th, man.
All 6 of our picks got a chance. Well, I mean, that guy's going to be the swing tackle, but they have a chance to start. Like, he'll compete. I'm sure that he'll be in the mix for right guard.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you just eliminate a player that's out there that's going to be your swing tackle? Like, I agree. It'd be nice to have him backing up Orlando Brown Jr. and Marius Mims, but if he can play right guard, boom.
Absolutely.
Are you ready for the last pick? Or are you talking?
Well, I didn't know if you guys wanted to talk any more about Jalen Rivers, because I know I talked about him extensively, and I feel like I just said everything I wanted to say again.
He's not really somebody I looked up a whole lot until after the draft, but I think it's a really good, solid pick for us.
Right. The last pick, Mandale, you talked about him all the way back in February, man. You were very high on him. So
you got me high on him. I was telling you
guys high on him.
Comfort.
Yet he was 239 on my board, and he went at 193. So, and that's something I tried to explain on Twitter. It's the one I don't feel great about of where he is on my personal board, because you guys know how much I've talked about and how much I loved him and loved the fit for what they wanted here. And I think he's a really, really good football player. It's just because when you got 28 to 30 running backs on your board, and I try not to, I'm not going to put 10 guys in the 4th round. Like, I'm just not. That's just not how I try to stack it. And it seems to be working out pretty well with how I'm guessing where players go these last couple of years.
I think that what happened was that we only got 6 picks, and when it got down to that, the Bengals are like, man, we really want that guy. If we had a 7th-round pick, we tried to trade back, but we didn't get a 7th-round pick. And out of everybody that's left, who's going to make a difference on our team right now? And this is the guy we need. And Dale, you told them. They watched the goddamn show because they listened, and they figured out the dynamic is me asking you questions and you answer them, and they jot that shit down. I said, Dale, I need a running back that's my tush push, my 1-yard beast, my guy that comes in 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, and every fucking time it's guaranteed that he gets you that yard. And Dale, you said to me, Taj Brooks, that's your guy, pork chop. And so I fucking rode that the whole time. I love Taj Brooks. He's the thumper that we need for that 1 yard. Plus, if you watch his highlights, he can be good in open field and he can catch passes.
And he can block. He's a good blocker.
But I love him, man. I love him for the for that short yardage. He has one of the best blockers.
Exactly what I wanted.
When they talked about needing a blocker, that's why I was like, a blocker plus the yard, he's that guy. Yeah. But he's more than that. If they need him to carry the workload because someone's out injured for a game, you can give that man 20, 25 carries in a game and feel good about it. Durability, toughness, he's all of that. And, dude, he makes people miss. It's not like he's just some big thumper that runs straight ahead and can't. He will flat out make guys miss in the open field. There's him hurdling people. There's him shaking people. He has a chance to be a great running back 1-2 punch for a long time here with Chase Brown. I love that pick.
He's country as fuck too, man. When they did that interview at his house, it looked like one of them places where people run out and tell you about the tornado.
Yeah, but now, my question is, 4 running backs on the roster, who should be more nervous if they keep 3, Pirine or Moss?
Moss.
I mean, we don't know where Moss is at with his neck, right?
Right.
So knowing that, is he going to be completely cleared and ready to play football when the season starts? Is he a PUP candidate? This, that, and the other. So there's a way to do it, and then injuries happen. But I think the plan right now, assuming Moss is healthy, is all 4 of those guys are on the roster day one, period, point blank.
I mean, if there is one that's going to get cut and they ask Joe, he's got more continuity with Samaje Perine than he does with Moss, because Moss only played a few games and got hurt.
Yeah. And somebody's asking favorite pick. I don't know, man. It's tough. I like every pick.
I got like a 3-way tie because I really like Demetrius Knight, and I really like Dylan Fairchild, and I really like Taj Brooks.
My guy was Carter. Carter was my favorite pick.
I think in hindsight, after reflecting on it and diving into him even more than I already had, is probably Dylan Fairchild my favorite because I think he starts at left guard. And I think
was just going to say that because he's the one. Like, I like Demetrius Knight, but I never put him on the radar, because I thought that, I wanted Jihad Campbell in the first, and then I wanted Carson Swishinger. So I never really had him on my radar that much that we would draft him. But so
if there's
Dylan
one pick
Fairchild, I loved him when I read him in your draft guide. So he might be the front runner out of the 3.
Yeah, for me, it'd be Rivers and Brooks just because, I really like those guys. To get them in the 5th and 6th, incredible.
You like that man meat.
I do like me some
giant
man. Mom brought something up, and I brought this up to you when I texted you this. Even though we didn't have a 7th-round pick, our UDFA free agents, this was a good – we picked up some good players. I asked you if we had a 7th-round pick, Dale, who would our 7th-round pick be out of all those UDF free agents?
I don't know if they would have went 3-0 lineman, but I would have not had a problem with it. And where he is at on my board was 5th, 6th round column, and that's Seth McLaughlin. Yes, I know he's injured, but he's the Remington Award winner at center last year for all of college football. Best center in the country award. He got it. I mean, Billy Price won that award too, but he was drafted in the 1st round. This is an undrafted free agent.
Yes.
And I think bringing him in as an undrafted guy, he's got a chance to make the roster, assuming, and he sounds like he plans to be ready for full contact when training camp starts. He's already ramping up to that, but to be cleared for contact, that's the plan, and he's on schedule.
When he played before he got hurt, how was he?
Remington Award winning best center. And I
heard you say the awards, but I was just listening to like your breakdown.
No, he's pretty good. He had snap issues at Alabama, but he played a lot of football at Alabama. He had snap issues.
I heard that he's not good out of the shotgun. Is that true? Like the snapping problems came from the shotgun, right?
He was fine last year for the Buckeyes. I think it was
good
mental.
because Bengals like to run the shotgun a little.
Well, there's been a lot of talk about when he was at Alabama, because I want to say this. When he was at Alabama, Jalen Milroe and the way they do the snap count, it was very hard for him to know when to, and it screwed with the whole operation. That's been talked about quite a bit. So most of his snap issues happen at Bama with Jalen Milroe and the process of how they did that. He was fine at Ohio State, and they went a lot of shotgun as well.
Yeah.
But Dale, say if he does well, makes a thing. My question is, what does this do? Could he play guard just like Matt Lee? I wonder if Matt Lee now says, "Man, I got to compete for guard now." Well,
I still think both of those guys are centers, and it's just, can you keep him on the roster? Maybe he's a guy that is on your practice squad all year, but we've seen them get guys on their practice. He's undrafted, right?
Right.
We've seen guys go to the practice squad for a year, and then they make the roster the next year. Jackson Kirkland being one of the most recent examples, right? He made the 53 out of camp after being on the practice squad the year before the entire year. I could see that with Seth McLaughlin, but he is the guy I probably would have taken potentially in the 7th round, but the guy, the undrafted free agent that I think makes the 53 is not him. If I had to pick one guy from the undrafted free agency that makes the 53, it's Howard Cross III from Notre Dame.
Okay.
Because of his connection with Al Golden, he's more of a pass rushing specialist, right?
And I had him he was in my top 300, so he was on the board, but I had him that 7th / undrafted free agent.
I mean, if you roster him, who do you get rid of?
Well, a lot of times they keep 5 D tackles.
No.
And that's one of the reasons that, for me, why I think he's got the best chance to make the roster. I know they're going to let some of these edge guys kick in. You can do that with Sample. You can do it with – so it just depends. They could go 4. They could go 4 D tackles and 6 edge guys. They could easily do that. It wouldn't surprise me. But I also think if they go 5-5, or maybe they go heavy and they go 6-5 and keep 11 D-line. They've done that before. And
we got a lot of D-line.
I think that spot is right there for Howard Cross because he can rush the passer, and he's a 6-year guy, so he's ready to play.
Is he trash on the run blocking?
He's not a great run defender, so he's probably going to be a defensive pass rush specialist is what you'd use him. But we could use one of those, right? And he's undersized, so he's 6 foot or 6'1", and he's 285. So he's very undersized for a D tackle, and that's why he went undrafted.
Right.
And he also had some injuries throughout this season.
You knew who else was undersized for a D tackle?
He's been a 3 and 4 sack guy.
Guess who else was undersized for a D tackle?
Aeneas Peebles.
Geno
Atkins.
Geno Atkins.
Well, Dale, tell me.
Maybe you got it wrong. Maybe you were off target, and this is our Geno Atkins.
Maybe.
Boom.
There you go. Fill me in on this one guy from West Virginia, the tight end, Cole Taylor, big dude, 6'7", played at LSU. Anything about him?
I got nothing on him. I need to watch him. I don't have anything on him. I know a lot of other people that have watched him that they seem to like him. They think he's got a chance. I don't think we got the roster spots. I think as Mon said a little bit ago, that they're going to go a little lighter at tight end. Last year they had 5 because they rostered McLaughlin the whole year. So I could see a battle between McLaughlin and Hudson most likely for that final tight end spot. And they only keep 4, especially if Zach Moss is healthy, so they can keep the 4.
Might have been Ryan. Ryan says replacing a tight end with a running back.
Yeah, I think both of them said it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, probably so.
Well, they gave another tackle $30,000 bonus. I think it was his last name was Gregory. I think he was a DT out of
He's more of your run stuffer, Eric Gregory, Arkansas. Yeah. And I need to watch more of him. He's not one I like. I watched a little bit of him, but he's one that I didn't clip up or anything. I didn't spend a ton of time on him because I thought he was undrafted, and I was like, I'm not going to spend too much time on those guys. That's why I put him in the best of the rest. Those are guys I've watched little of, or I didn't think they were good enough to even put in the draft guide.
Gotcha.
Right. I mean, if they got a problem with it, fuck them.
Yeah. I mean, I put a lot of work into that thing, but
your draft guide is
I watch 10,000 prospects.
Yeah,
religiously, all of them.
I mean, how many prospects does Dane Brugler have in his?
A lot.
They got as many as you?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the beast.
I never subscribed to the Athletic. So
he's the man. That guy, man, he's putting, and that's why his don't come out until April. I'm trying to get something out there for you guys basically as soon as the football season's rolling around this year. I've already got a good start on next year.
I already got a copy of it in my email.
You've got a copy.
I got a copy of next year's draft guide in my email. Now, to be fair, there are there are some like you've seen names, and so what you'll see if you get that draft guide already. Like
No, I didn't send it to anybody. I don't send it until I'm ready till it's filled in more.
Well, I
I'll
enjoy.
give away my secrets.
But Dale,
I'm not
like
giving away any
seriously,
secrets, but
it's just so
I can
awesome.
just tell you that it's already got. You probably got 300 fucking people in there now, right?
It's quite a bit. I've gone through quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, and this is not all of them. You know what I'm saying? But I've got enough filled out to about how many prospects were in the guide this year for each of those positions: quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, and I'm about halfway through offensive tackles. So those positions, I've already at least watched some of every one of those guys that's in there, and started a write-up for them. Now,
Man,
that write-up will change quite a bit because I've watched very little of each of them, but it's just the start to try to start stacking them on an early board. And then it's mainly for guys that want to watch when the college football season starts and see how they're performing compared to what they were expected.
Well, now I can also have that and start watching it, but man, that's fucking amazing.
But yeah, man, good show, guys. I knew when we got to the Bengals, we would spend, because we're a Bengals podcast, but I do, and maybe depending how Friday's going, I'll continue and talk about the rest of these.
What the fuck is this thing tomorrow with Santori eating that sandwich?
Yeah, what's going on? I woke
up and I was reading shit on
Gold Star, buddy.
Hey. Gold Star posted this. It's hellaciously hot chicken sandwich. And I was like, this has Santoria on a stream eating this written all over it. And they were like, yes, it does. And Santori's like, I will do it yesterday. So then, and I said, he said, well, you want to do that tomorrow at 8 or whatever? And I said, sure. I said, which channel? He said, don't matter. So I just set it up. So at 8 o'clock, and I think he's going to go get more spicy stuff. He's going to go get, because he's going to try a bite of that. And if it's just, Santori wants to be crazy, we're going to let him.
Yeah, believe me, I've been there when we were at 50 West and he ate this like sandwich. It was 2 million Scoville.
He barely took one bite. He had to wear gloves. He started crying like crazy. And Santori has a high tolerance.
Well, what the fucked up thing was there's video evidence of him eating that one chip challenge, which is 1 million Scovilles. And he says he'll never do that again. But then we go to 50 West and he orders the 2 million Scoville.
Yes.
Fucking chicken sandwich.
Yes. I mean, I'll give him credit. He's got balls for doing that, but man, I would never do that.
That's what he should do is rake his balls across that sauce live on the show.
I gotta see what he's getting here. Because he said what it was, but I don't remember.
He said what? Oh, the heat?
No, like what he was maybe going to stop and get. Let me look real quick.
Different sauces.
Oh, should I grab some hot sauce from Jungle Jim's to make it better?
Tell him to get some Frank's, man. That stuff tastes great. I love Frank's.
And then Darth is trying to tell him to get this. That's at Jungle Jim's.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God. Santori, man, what are you trying to do here?
Pack challenge.
Dude,
On top of a hilariously hot chicken sandwich.
Dude, are you trying to put your toilet through overtime? Oh, my God, man.
No, I don't remember the name of that place where I'm finding Nemo. Sorry, Crip. I don't.
Oh, well.
Oh yeah, and also Howard Cross, like his sack production could have been even better. He had an interview with that Justin M_NFL who writes for the Draft Network. He sent me that. He said he was playing nose tackle in their scheme because he had Riley Mills beside him, right? He was the guy getting after it more. So he's playing nose tackle at 6'1", 285.
Whoa. That's wow.
And the year before this one, he finished number 3 in the nation in run stops. So while his grade wasn't that good this year, he's been a guy who can make plays in the run game.
Hey.
So they got a guy, and he's going to play 3 tech here.
He's just like Geno Atkins.
So
he's like little Geno.
So the knock on him is the size, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Same.
It's big. My knock is I'm sometimes.
Dustin says the Bengals haven't had a rookie draft pick in week 1 starting lineup since 2022.
Let's hope
I don't think our first round this year starts. I don't think Shamar Stewart starts, but I think Demetrius Knight, Barrett Carter's got a really good shot. Well, they get rid of Pratt. He's got a really good shot in
if
packages.
They're going 3 linebackers, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying in packages. And Dylan Fairchild, I think he's a fucking starter right off the get.
Well, Stewart, he'll be the third linebacker. I mean, I think Stewart's going to start.
I don't think Stewart will start. I think he'll play a lot of rotational snaps.
Well, he's
I
not going to
think,
be the third linebacker.
assuming that Trey Hendrickson is here and ready to go week 1, I think Trey and Murphy start at the edge. And then I think Stewart rotates in. Now, is it crazy to say Stewart beats out Murphy? I don't think it's crazy for that, but Miles Murphy is still a first-round guy with boatloads of potential. He was only 21 when he came out like Stewart, and he's going into his year 3. So I think Murphy is ready to take that starting role on. But having a guy like Stewart, man, you always D-line rotates so much, and it should. And Osai, having those 4 right off the rip, plus Cedric Johnson, who you guys know I like quite a bit, and then Cam Sample, and a bunch of those guys had the versatility to kick inside on third downs.
And I think that's where you're going to see Shamar Stewart on third downs is he's going to kick inside too. You know, I think that you're going to see him plenty of times this year on third downs in there getting after that passer.
I agree.
Well, now, Dale, like I'll tell you who a big winner of this draft was. Geno Stone. You know, Geno Stone at the draft was like, but I tell you what, man, Justin Simmons, who publicly stated he wants to play for the Bengals, do you give him a phone call since we didn't go safety at all?
If I'm calling a safety, it's Will Blackman because I think he's a better football player than Justin Simmons at this point of their careers. I think Justin Simmons is not the player he once was just because, I mean, it happens. He's older. You know what I mean? Okay. But, I mean, I'm not opposed to giving him a call and also you could use another veteran in here and things like that. So, but I think Will Blackman is a better player right now.
No, thank you for pointing that out. Okay.
But, yeah, man. Good show, guys. Good show.
Hey, you got me fired up, man. I'm fired up. You know what, man? I was on Stewart. You guys saw the picture. I was not happy with Stewart. But you know what? I can't wait to the day I spread my legs open and he kicks me in the nuts so hard. I did the same thing to you.
Well, I mean, that guy can squat like 600 pounds. So good.
Oh, yeah. It's going to hurt like hell, but I deserve it.
I think 600 and something. I think they showed him squatting like that.
Oh, yeah, dude. It's ridiculous. It's going to hurt like hell, but I deserve it like hell.
They picked the right logo for that guy with that gorilla because he can be a silverback. He's like 6'5", 6'6". Oh my God, with the fucking crazy motor. You know what sold me on him too is he's got that kind of high pitched Mike Tyson voice, and Mike Tyson was a badass. So when I heard Shamar Stewart talking with that Mike Tyson high pitched voice, I was like, all right.
Or maybe he'll just shove a pie in my face now that you guys are talking.
Shove a pie in your face.
That would hurt to get kicked in the nuts by him. Yes.
Yes. I'm down. Hey, Ryan, boom. Me and you both. He gets 5 sacks this year. I'm buying his jersey too.
Hey, I'll agree with that.
We'll all be so excited if he gets 5 or 6 sacks this season. Because we'll be like, here we go, boys.
The floor in my bedroom is going to be slickery.
And Dale, in all fairness, you were never down on Stewart.
You never went down on Stewart.
You never were down on Stewart because you named better options than Stewart for us. And surprisingly, you said Booker, and Booker went 13 to the Cowboys and all that. And I'm like, yeah, I'd take Stewart over Booker in a heartbeat. So, you were never down on Stewart, but your concerns, but you still had some hopes for Stewart at you pretty much.
No, I did. I mean, the talent's there. It's production, right? And he is the all-time production versus traits guy. Trayvon Walker was another one of those, but Trayvon Walker, and he went number 1 overall. And he was a production versus traits guy. But guess what? Guess what happened? He got in the NFL, and he's put the work in, and those traits have translated to 20 and a half sacks over the last 2 years. I think we'd take that.
Hell yeah.
Shamar Stewart in years 2 and 3 when he's on this team. He gets 10-plus sacks a year. Sign me up.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing about Shamar Stewart. He doesn't have to worry about bending down, tying his shoes. I mean, his wingspan, man, I think it's higher than LeBron's wingspan. I mean, good Lord, man! You talk about a guy that can just bat down passes for Pete's sake.
Yeah, so with our draft grade, I think it has the potential to be an A.
It does.
I mean,
exactly.
Really good potential.
Exactly. It's nothing like
Tina's right, though. His who day needs to fucking work. I need some conviction on that. Don't just be like, oh, they say who day. Nah, bitch. Who day.
We know the man Ted Karras will have him lined up.
Yeah, Ted Karras will have him right.
He'll get him lined now,
and he'll be singing that fucking chant after the games in the locker room.
Ted's all over it, man. When it comes to the chant, he's made him get the words right and everything since he's been here.
That's right. Thank God. Oh my God, that drove me fucking insane when they would chant that shit wrong all the time. I know other people are like, if the players are saying it, we're going to say it that way now too. And I'm like, man, fuck off. That is not the way you
This really
chant it.
triggered you. This really triggered
Yes,
you.
it did.
It's fair.
Like, you can't come in here and just because you're a player change the thing. Like, players come and go, but the city fucking stays. We appreciate your service, but the players come and go, the city stays, and the team is the city. So don't be coming in here and changing our shit. It's who they.
It's going good, Braden. It's going good.
And it's who they think going to beat them Bengals.
Right.
Nobody.
There you go.
Especially now we got Shamar Stewart. Fuck your quarterback.
I like
Better
it.
to bring a stretcher, bitch. You're going to need it.
But yeah, we'll see what we decide to talk about Friday. May continue going, starting with the Browns and their draft, but who knows? It might be over by then. Maybe we'll have something else to talk about by Friday.
Browns drafted Sanders, and it's going to be a carousel.
Greg, if you get Shamar Stewart on here, it's going to be a 1 hour lesson, and we're going to have that guy saying fucking who they right by the end of the show.
No, buddy. You guys don't think I've contacted I went all over the place trying to contact his agent, everything.
I know, but other than dick pics.
I got carpal tunnel syndrome. I'd probably try to I'll try to contact a second grade teacher if I can.
Now you better end the show. Something's going on.
Yeah. It's just going to get weird.
Greg got broken.
Restraining order again.
Right.
Yeah, I'll look all over the place. Stuart, please come on the show, buddy.
Yeah.
I'll be at the pro shop shortly. Just hiding out there, see if he's there.
All right, guys. I appreciate all of you. I
appreciate you.
Go and cut grass. I'm going to cut grass. It's a day earlier than I would. It's not been 5 days. It's only been 4. But it's supposed to rain the rest of the week. So.
And the chat. Appreciate the chat over there.
I'm going to cut
the Brew
grass.
Crew.
I do appreciate everybody. Don't shove anybody in a locker, Chop.
Right. Lockers at work are really small. If I did that, like, somebody would be in trouble.
Yeah, they had to be really tiny or something.
They'd have to be like more compact than Taj Brooks or Howard Cross III. They'd have to be smaller. Yeah. Those guys, in this case, way too big.
Yeah. Nope. Mm-hmm. Can't do it.
Right.
I appreciate all of you tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow, but we're not even going to be talking Bengals. We're just going to be watching Santori.
I won't be here. I'll be at work.
A chicken sandwich.
I'll be at work trying to watch.
Greg will be here 8 o'clock.
I don't know. I should be here. I might be his emergency contact to take him to the hospital or something.
That's a good point. I'm too far away. So if he starts going down, Greg's going to have to be either going to get him or calling somebody quickly.
Well, I think I live the closest to him. I'm like 20 minutes away. So, Santori, man, you're going to have to hold it in for 20 minutes, bro, before I get there.
Yeah. I mean, Tyler Kelly literally let us do anything to him for charity.
I know. He said next year we put him in a dunk tank. He'll wear Steelers gear at the.
He also said we could drop your nuts on his forehead.
It was cool.
That's true. He did say that I could rub my nuts on his forehead.
It was cool when he showed Jordan Battle his tramp stamp.
That was cool when he showed Jordan Battle that tramp stamp.
Battle was cracking up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that guy. What he will do for charity is unbelievable.
I know.
Yes, we would. We love you.
I like the dunk tank idea, but that's very expensive.
He was dropped on his head a few too many times as a child, but he's all right, kid.
Depending, where the event is, maybe we could have something if there's outside access, and people could throw water balloons at him.
Yeah, there you go.
It would save money than have to buy a whole dunk tank. But still, you get to throw a water balloon at Tyler Kelly.
Paintball.
Whatever idea we come up with.
Orange and black paintballs.
Whatever idea we come up with, he'll agree to it. So
I know.
Yeah.
It'll be fantastic.
Yes, it will.
Oh, yes, it will.
All right, guys. Hooday.
Appreciate it.